You can be taken to jail for praying in public. You don't believe me? Check this out. So, in the UK, this man was convicted of criminal charges for praying silently near an abortion clinic. This man right here, Adam Smith Connor, was outside of an abortion clinic and he was praying silently with his head down. Didn't say a word, didn't approach anybody, didn't do anything to anybody. He was just standing there and praying, and they arrested him. And this article talks about why. So it says in Britain, it can be a crime to think the wrong thoughts in the wrong place. It sounds absurd, not to mention Orwellian, but a handful of people have been arrested or charged in the country simply for praying silently near abortion clinics. This month, a British man was convicted of criminal charges praying silently near an abortion clinic. The man, Adam Smith Connor, did not attempt to harass, intimidate, or interact in any way with those entering the clinic. Instead, he wordlessly prayed with his head bowed silently. He wasn't even on the clinic property. He was outside the sight line of the clinic itself, according to the Alliance Defending Freedom, ADF, a religious freedom group. Now, when I first heard this, I wouldn't I didn't think this could be possible. I didn't even think this was a possibility to even happen. And at first I thought it was in America. I just seen someone posted this on my last video, and I seen it in the comment. I'm like, what? There's no way. And then I looked in the UK and I was like, oh. And I could have sworn as far as rights went, because I'm American, so I was not too I wasn't too familiar with how things happened over there. But I started researching it, and then so a lot of it is pretty similar when it comes to freedom of speech. But what I did not know about was this: a censorship order enabled by the 2014 Antisocial Behavior, Crime, and Policing Act. Under this law, local authorities can obtain special status for some public spaces or public places, allowing them to ban a huge range of conduct. In the name of limiting antisocial behavior, British towns have obtained PSPOs to ban the homeless from sleeping outside or to ban swearing. So basically, and I also found out, so in abortion clinics in the UK, a lot of them have these things called PSPOs, which is basically a border or a specific outline of an area around us in a certain area that the government has placed to where they can ban certain actions or basically to prevent people from being harassed or basically just to ban certain things happening in that area. So like how in this one it says there's places to ban the homeless from sleeping. So if you have a city and they don't want homeless people sleeping around in that city, they can place the border around it. It's pretty self-explanatory. So around these abortion clinics, they didn't want people who were religious believers coming there and pretty much in any way trying to tell, say a woman is going there, they didn't want anybody there to tell her anything of trying to prevent her from going there. So if you're a Christian and there's an abortion clinic and they have this PSPO there, you can't go there to try to stop them from doing it. You can't go there, with any of the signs. People, there are definitely times where people really take it up a notch and really do the most and are harassing people who, you know, find themselves in this situation, which I don't think is correct. I don't think it's right to harass people and for anything. That's not cool. But I don't see anything wrong with praying. like let's be real here. It literally said he was praying with his head down. Let me find it. Okay, he was capable of being seen. He was engaged in prayer, and it would have been perceptible to an observer, said Judge Orla Austin, the Telegraph reported. He said he would not be looking at anyone so he could not breach their privacy, but I find his presence and the circumstances could cause detrimental impact. Smith Connor is far from the first Briton to face legal consequences for silent prayer near an abortion clinic. In 2022, a woman in Birmingham, England was arrested for praying silently outside an abortion clinic. That same year, a priest was criminally charged for holding a sign ring praying for freedom of speech near an abortion clinic, even though his sign had nothing to do with abortion rights. So it don't even have to be praying. This man right here was holding a sign saying praying for freedom of speech. That has nothing to do with abortion. That has nothing to. it had. No, I was gonna say it doesn't have anything to do with religion, but it says praying. So it seems like any form of any type of religious speaking or any word that could relate to any type of religion is just no, like nothing at all. You can't even you can't even stand in the area and bow your head slightly and close your eyes and just stand like that, because then they can just automatically say, oh, you're praying, go to jail. And his punishment for it, look at what they did to, they said he was ordered to pay $11,000, almost $12,000 in prosecution fees, and sentenced to a conditional discharge, which is basically probation. So this man, who by the way served 20 years in the military, he's a vet. He did a whole tour in Afghanistan. This 20-year vet was put on probation and had to pay almost $12,000 in fees because he silently prayed outside of an abortion clinic. And like, I don't, this is crazy. I don't understand. I can't, I don't see how doesn't violate freedom of speech. And honestly, this is giving the government way too much power. That's the whole purpose of freedom of speech, is for us to be able to express ourselves. It should be, it's okay for someone to think one thing and then for another person to say no, that's wrong, and then they can disagree without having to force whatever the other person believes onto the other person. That's the whole point of freedom of speech. And this is completely taking that away. And then there, it's like, if this was the line to cross to get out of freedom of speech, to where it would be like an obvious thing, they're like right here. They're like trying their hardest to get as close to the line as possible, and with these technicalities in the laws to make sure that they don't try to violate somebody's freedom of speech, but is basically just extreme censorship, which is almost the same thing. I went and I wanted to really understand what the guidelines were for these PSPOs, and this is what I found. So, okay, so overview of public spaces protection orders. The Antisocial Behavior Crime and Policing Act 2014 provides a broad legal framework within which PSPOs can be implemented. Okay, so this right here, the first test concerns the nature of the antisocial behavior, requiring that activities that have taken place have had a detrimental effect on the quality of life of those in the locality, or it is likely that activities will take place and that they will have a detrimental effect. The effect or likely effect of these activities is or is likely to be a persistent or continuing in nature, is or is likely to be unreasonable, and justifies the restrictions being imposed. So apparently, it is unreasonable to stand outside and close your eyes, bow your head, and stand there. Don't have no, don't talk to anybody. You don't approach anybody. Don't even look at anybody. But to the government, that is unreasonable, and you can be arrested for it. It's honest, like I'm really like it's really hard to like wrap my head around the fact that this is even like possible. And this is like this is in their laws. Like this is over almost every abortion clinic. There's a PSPO, and there's been a handful of people who have been arrested for doing things like this. And we just saw how the other pastor, he wasn't a pastor, but he was a priest, and he was holding that praying for freedom of speech sign, and he was arrested for it. That's crazy, man. Like how do we get here? And not only did it prohibit them from just the signs and the prayer. You couldn't. It says it right here. Those working the PSPO in Smith Connor's case not only banned intimidating or harassing those working at or seeking services from the clinic, but also barred individuals from engaging in prayer, sprinkling holy water on the ground, and crossing themselves. So I already knew no prayer, but you can't. This is crossing yourself. You can't do that. That's banned. And sprinkling holy water on the ground. Now, holy water or sprinkling, that's reasonable, because for at least to be like questioned. Because if you just walking around, depending on how what it is, like if somebody's never seen it before, it's just you sprinkling some liquid, say like over grass, they're gonna be like, "What are you doing?" So that's reasonable. I won't even can't even trip about that. But everything else is insane, bro. You can't stand in silence and be praying in your head, and you can't cross yourself. Like, how do we get to this point? Honestly speaking, it seems like censorship in general is becoming a huge thing in the world, but it's coming more to the light. In America, we got the whole Fauci and the whole 2020 stuff, the information about the mask and isolation and all that, the truth of it really coming out, and then everybody's like in an uproar now. You got some people who been known about all of that, people who were called the conspiracy theorists, and all that stuff is coming out to actually be true. And then you got places like in Iran, if you're Christian, like your Christians are being persecuted there. And if you're a new convert and you decide to go from being Muslim to a Christian, society and the government will basically be on your head for real. Like, it's dangerous to claim Christianity over there. And now you got in the UK, no, excuse me, you got these PSPOs. Wherever the government decides to place a PSPO, the regulations and guidelines behind it is up to the extent of what they believe is eligible for it. So, to the as far as to go as if you stand outside whatever area is designated, standing there with your head down and your eyes closed, don't say anything to anybody, don't approach anybody, not holding any type of sign, not doing anything to anybody. But that if that action is deemed as harassing or whatever regulation they put, you're bound to go to jail. It's just like that, straight to jail. I don't think that's right at all. I think that gives the government way too much power, and this is just the start. Honestly, it's honestly just the start. I feel like anytime the government gets any type of leeway with power in the society, I it never goes well. I've never seen it go well. So, especially now in these times, it can only get worse. Well, I'm not gonna say that, but leaving power in the wrong hands can be dangerous. Let me know what y'all think in the comments, though. I want to know what you guys think. I'm not a complete expert on this. I just found out about this. There could be information that I don't know about, that I could be missing. Like I said, I'm not even from the UK. I'm from America. So, but as far as what I'm read, what I'm seeing, this this isn't right. This is a complete violation of freedom of speech, in my opinion. Um, but yeah, let me know what y'all think. Any video recommendations, you guys leave them in the comments. But please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see y'all in the next.